The heat is transferred by means of conduction, convection and the radiation. In the case of conduction, we are using the Fourier law and is given by Q conduction equal to minus K into A into dt by dx. The heat transfer and area is perpendicular to each other. The dt by dx is called as temperature gradient. So this one is the heat transfer along the x direction. If we have a heat transfer along the y direction, you have to take the area perpendicular to y direction and you have to take the gradient along the y direction, that is dt by dy. And for radial, you have to take the area perpendicular to the radial direction and the temperature gradient in radial direction is dt by dr. In the case of convection, we are using the Newton's law of cooling and heat transfer by convection is given as H into A into T wall minus T infinity. This time the wall temperature is greater than the fluid temperature. H is called as heat transfer coefficient. For a black body, the total hemispherical emissive power per unit area per unit time is given by Stefan Boltzmann's law is given as EB equal to sigma into T to the power 4, where sigma is the Stefan Boltzmann constant, is 5.67 into 10 to the power minus 8 is watt per meter square Kelvin to the power 4. In generalized form, the heat transfer Q is always expressed as the overall temperature difference divided by the thermal resistance. In the case of slab, the thermal resistance is given by L by AK. In the case of cylinder, the thermal resistance is given as 1 upon 2 pi KL into ln of R2 by R1, and in the case of sphere it is given as R equal to 1 upon 4 pi K into 1 upon R1 minus 1 upon R2. The convection resistance is given in the form 1 upon H multiplied by A. If we solve the problem of cylinder using a slab, then you have to calculate the equivalent area, which is given by A1 minus A2 divided by natural log of A1 by A2. At this time, the thickness will be equal to R2 minus R1. If we solve the sphere problem using a slab, then we have equivalent area is simply the geometric mean, that is A1 into A2. The overall heat transfer coefficient, which is normally denoted by letter U. So reciprocal of overall heat transfer coefficient is simply equal to the thermal resistance multiplied by area. If you want to calculate here the overall heat transfer coefficient based on inside area, in that case you have to take the total thermal resistance. This one is also total thermal resistance multiplied by inside area. And if you want to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient based on outside area, you have to multiply the total thermal resistance with A0. Always remember that we have a thermal conductivity of a pure metal is greater than the thermal conductivity of the metal alloy. The thermal conductivity of the liquid is always greater than gas, and the thermal conductivity of ice is always greater than thermal conductivity of water and is greater than the thermal conductivity of the steam. If you have a free convection, then the heat transfer coefficient in the case of gases is very small, is 3 to 25, and the free convection in the case of liquids, the heat transfer coefficient is approximately 250 to 600. The forced convection heat transfer coefficient in the case of gas is approximately 25 to 400. This is generalized range. And in the case of liquid, this value increases to 600 to 4000. In case of condensation, the value of heat transfer is very large, is approximately 3000 to 25,000. In a boiling heat transfer, the value of heat transfer is highest, is 5000 to 50,000. The critical radius of insulation in case of cylinder is given as RC equal to K by HO, where K is of a outside material and HO is the outside heat transfer coefficient. In the case of sphere, the critical radius is given as 2K by HO, where K is the thermal conductivity of the outside insulating material. Critical radius of insulation concept is not applicable in the case of slab. As far as the conduction resistance in the case of the cylinder as well as sphere will go on increasing as we go on adding the thickness of insulation. The convection resistance will go on decreasing. So this point represents here when the cylinder or the sphere is bare, let's say equal to R1, and this represents here the total resistance. It initially decreases and then again increases. So this one is summation of total resistance. Where this value is minimum, that is called as critical radius of insulation. And correspondingly, at the critical radius of insulation, the total resistance is minimum. Initially, when the cylinder and the sphere are bare, the resistance is a higher value. So this represents here the heat transfer rate when they are bare condition without insulation. As the insulation will put up and we approach towards the critical radius, its value will go on increasing. And since this one is minima, we have maximum value of heat transfer. And if any insulation is added, the heat transfer rate will go on decreasing. So this region here, which is between R1 and RC, if you apply here any critical radius of insulation between R1 is less than R2, less than RC, here in this case the conduction resistance will going to increase, the convection resistance will decrease, and the heat transfer will increase. This is best suitable for electrical wires. In the region, if we have R2 is greater than RC, in that case the conduction resistance will increase at a faster rate as compared to convection resistance. So this time here total value of sigma R will going to increase. Because of this the Q will decrease. This will serve the purpose of insulation. So if R2 is greater than RC, then the heat transfer rate Q will going to decrease. This is normally preferred in the case of steam pipe. The generalized heat conduction equation is given as 1 upon R to the power n del R of R to the power n del T by del R plus Q generation by K equal to 1 by alpha dt by dt. This is change in time, change in temperature. Alpha is called as thermal diffusivity and alpha is given by K divided by rho into Cp. Q generation normally because of electrical resistance is given as I square into R divided by total volume. For Cartesian system, you have to put n equal to 0 and replace R by x. So when you put n equal to 0, this become 1, this become 1, this become del x, this become del t by del x. So we get a governing equation as del square t by del x square plus Q generation divided by K equal to 1 by alpha into dt by dt. In the case of cylindrical system, you have to put n equal to 1, R will be as it is, no change for this. In that case it will become 1 by R del R of R into del T by del R plus V of Q generation divided by K equal to 1 by alpha into dt by dt. And in the case of spherical, put n equal to 2, R will be as it is. So we have 1 upon R square into del R of R square into del T by del R plus V of Q generation divided by K equal to 1 by alpha dt by dt. For steady state, the derivative of temperature with respect to time will be equal to 0. For no internal heat generation, we have to take Q generation equal to 0. If you have given the plate and both the wall temperature Tw are equal, in that case the maximum temperature will occur at center. And if this one is a steady state, then you can put in this equation dt by dt equal to 0 and then integrate it twice, find out the constant. Since the maximum temperature at center here, where I given x equal to 0, so right hand side will be equal x equal to L by 2. So find out the constant C1. So you can use this condition and find out the two constant. If the wall temperatures are different, TW1 and TW2, then the maximum temperature will shift where we have the maximum temperature of the wall. So we can assign this time x equal to 0, x equal to L, integrate this equation 2 times, find out the two constant, and then you can locate here the maximum temperature. At this point, that is the maximum temperature, we can always obtain by dt by dx equal to 0. Suppose the left face is insulated. In that case, we have maximum temperature. We will have a same shape of parabola, but half of the parabola is missing. So this side, that is the left side, we have maximum temperature, and this side we have wall temperature. Same theory you can apply to the cylinder, only you have to use this equation. And suppose we have a cylinder is placed in a fluid, then both wall temperatures are identical and the maximum temperature will be obtained at center, where we have R equal to 0, T is equal to T max, and therefore we have dt by dr at R equal to 0 will be equal to 0. Using this, we can find out the constant. You can apply the same these two derivations in the case of spherical system also. In the case of fin, the theta, the excess temperature, which is basically T0 minus T, the temperature at any distance is given by C1 e to the power minus mx plus C2 e to the power plus mx. This time we have m is a parameter and is obtained by using under root of h into p divided by k into AC, where p is the perimeter, a is the cross section area, h is the heat transfer coefficient, and k is the thermal conductivity. This constant can be obtained for infinite long fin and the short fin. The temperature distribution in case of infinite fin is given as theta upon theta 0 equal to e to the power minus mx. For the short fin, it is given as theta upon theta 0 equal to cos of hyperbolic into m L minus x divided by cos of hyperbolic of ml. The heat transfer by single fin is given by Q equal to under root of h p k into AC into theta 0. It is better to write this temperature as T minus T infinity. So whenever you have to write down theta 0, you have to take T0 minus T infinity. And theta is the temperature difference at any distance x. In the case of short fin, it is given as Q equal to under root of HPKAC multiplied by theta 0 multiplied by tan hyperbolic of ml. Efficiency is defined as the actual heat transfer divided by maximum heat transfer. In the case of infinite long fin, we have efficiency will be given as 1 upon ml. So efficiency is inversely proportional to length L. In the case of short fin, efficiency is given as tan hyperbolic of ml divided by ml. And finally, we have effectiveness is the heat transfer with fin divided by heat transfer without fin. Effectiveness in case of infinite long fin is given by under root of P into K divided by HA. And almost same equation we have for short fin. It is multiplied by tan hyperbolic of ml, that is under root of P into K H into A into tan hyperbolic of ml. Lump capacity on steady state or transient heat transfer. In this case, you have to balance the heat transfer by conduction with the rate of change of internal energy, that is Q of internal energy. Conduction heat transfer is given as a product of H into A into the temperature of body minus the surrounding fluid temperature, minus of mass of the body into specific heat multiplied by rate of change of temperature with respect to time. Once you separate this equation, you have to define here characteristic length LC, which is the volume divided by surface area. So you have to take here the surface area. Volume we can obtain from mass, because mass is given as a product of density into volume. This time the product M into Cp divided by H multiplied by surface area is called as the time constant, and mass is further given as density into volume. So we have density into volume into Cp divided by heat transfer coefficient multiplied by surface area. Now lump capacity is a special case of a unsteady state. In that case we have Boyd number, which is given as H into characteristic length divided by K should be less than 0.1. So in that case we have ln of theta 2 by theta 1 is equal to e to the power minus Boyd number multiplied by Fourier number. Fourier number is given as alpha divided by LC square divided by time. Both these numbers are dimensionless number. It gives a resistance to conduction to resistance to convection, or is sometimes defined as the internal conduction resistance to the external convection resistance. Normally in calculation the Boyd number is very less. If Boyd number exceeds than 1, then you have to use the Hausler chart. This time LC will be equal to volume upon surface area that you have to calculate for each step. Even the numerical we have given the thermal conductivity as a variation of temperature in the form of A plus B times T, that is the linear, and second time it is given as A plus B times T plus C times T square. This one is quadratic. So whenever you have given the linear form, we can calculate mean thermal conductivity as A plus B into T1 plus T2 divided by 2, and then you will use your regular equation for slab, cylinder and sphere. But you are given the quadratic form of thermal conductivity, then you have to use the Fourier equation, which is Q equal to minus of K into A into dt by dx, and this time you have to separate the variable, that is dx equal to minus A divided by Q. Then you have to write down the equation of thermal conductivity as A plus B times T plus C times T square multiplied by dt, and you have to integrate it. If you know the two temperature limit at x equal to 0 and x equal to L, then you can find out here the heat transfer. If we join the two temperature by a straight line, then this value always represents the mean thermal conductivity. If we join the 2 point by this curve, it represents the value of positive term here, that is K equal to A plus B multiplied by T, that is thermal conductivity increase with respect to temperature. And if we follow this curve, in that case we have negative sign here, that is K equal to A minus B multiplied by T, that is thermal conductivity decreases with respect to temperature. The video you are watching is from the app, which is the More Class app available on Google Store, and in this app we'll cover all subjects involved in mechanical engineering for GATE. Join the course directly from your mobile. The link is given here.